even a slow mint is better than having a fast mint of people that are just buying based on speculative thoughts, not because of your mission and what you're doing.
Hello everyone and welcome to the CMO Stories podcast, Season 2, Episode 24. My name is Yuri Bilast and I'm your podcast host, and today I'm so excited to be joined by Gigi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to finally be here with you.
Yeah, me too. I'm happy to have you on my podcast. Guys, if you don't know Gigi, let me give you a small introduction. Well, Gigi is originally from Venezuela, and she's the founder and CEO and lead engineer of W3 Learn Academy and cryptotechwomen. That's a Web3 community-centric brand that has empowered more than 20,000 community members worldwide to take space in Web3. She's passionate about education, innovation, and the Web3 industry. And in the past, you have been a software engineer at an AI Silicon Valley company before you went into the Web3 industry. So, yeah, that's amazing, Gigi. But yeah, tell us a bit how, with this background from working at the Silicon Valley company, which seems also exciting, how did you come into the Web3 space?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I guess I never had thought about it that way. Like you were at Silicon Valley, but so my background is I started coding at 16 actually. So I
Oh,
started coding at 16, and there was such a big lack of representation and knowledge about, the software industry in I was living at the time in Puerto Rico. So, Latino countries, I don't think that's a big thing like it is in the US. So for all this time, I was coding and building websites, but I just didn't even know what was the power that had. Moving forward, I moved to LA, get a job, go study software engineering, get a job at Forethought. And I become a really big proponent of kind of demystifying tech and making sure that people know, like, hey, you don't need a master's degree to come here, and in some points you don't even need a bachelor's to come here. So I start creating content to kind of show that ceiling, that wall is not as high as it seems.
mm-hmm.
And as I'm doing this, I'm like I said, I'm living my best life, building products and creating content. I got into kind of crypto in 2017, only with coins. So fast forward to 2020, I believe, we start hearing about Web3 and NFTs. And for me, I'm a huge follower of Gary Vee, which I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people are. So whenever I started hearing him talk about NFTs, I was like, okay, I need to learn more about this. Learning about it at that point in time, the biggest takeaway of NFTs is, hey, this will be a really good way of proof ownership. And if you are someone who you like buying collectibles and nice things, that probably something that calls your attention. For me, it was like, I see the value. I think it's cool. Not for me right now, but I always, kept looking at it. I did tell one of my best friends about it. He did his research. He comes back to me and he's like, hey, I need you to learn this coding language because I'm going to build a play to earn game. So even though everything he's saying is foreign, I was like, wait, coding language? And then we kind of went into the weeds about it. And I learned that NFTs are really just code. And that was my aha moment. That was like, okay, I'm all in, because the power of code, we've seen it in Web2. We're going to continue to see it in Web3. And then I saw a really big opportunity for me to come into a space that is fairly new. There isn't a lot of high quality education. And we need women in here, and we need Latinas, and we just need minorities to come in, bring in diversity, and also show others that, hey, it's not as hard as it seems, and there is opportunity for you here, whether you're a creator, a builder, a learner, like whatever it is.
Right. So, and at what moment, did you start to think about the concept of crypto tech women? When did that come up?
Yeah, so that came up in 2021 in about July, August. So I did the whole course on how to build a game using NFTs. It's crypto zombies. It's a very long course, I'll say that. And I finished the course. My friend didn't finish. He's not an engineer, and it was kind of like a test. Whatever. He didn't finish, but he's like, "Yo, like now you know how to do this. How about you do something with it?" And he was the one really who put that idea into my mind. And as I started talking to friends, validating the idea, everyone continued to say my Instagram before used to be called Gigi Codes because I was talking about
Okay.
tech and code. Now it's just Gigi Skarlett. I rebranded. But everyone kept saying, "Hey, how about you do Gigi Codes on, in Web3? Like you do a collection named Gigi Codes." And I think that was just like the starter part of it, and going deeper into even providing different ideas. Everyone was like, "Yeah, you have to do what you're doing in Web2 and Web3." And I think someone said, "Oh, you should do tech women or something." And I was like, it does not make sense for me to go into Web3 to advocate for people to come back to Web2, but it does make sense to, do a branding that goes in line with, hey, this is Web3, and that's how crypto tech women started.
Yeah, but it looks like such an adventure. So we met in San Diego when you were talking about how to start an NFT project, what are the different steps. For me, it was one of the two most inspiring presentations. So thank you for that, Gigi. But yeah, you are at that stage. Still, someone gives you the idea, but then still you need to build this collection. You need to launch it. So it seems like a big mission to do it at that moment, or
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, it did. I think at the time, so I think it's all about perception. So at the time, I'm looking at it like I know how to code a website, and in my previous lives, I like to say I've worked with social media management. I've taken so many. I'm a learner. I'm a life learner, so I do love learning new things. I've taken all the courses you can imagine. So I'm here
Okay.
thinking, oh, I'm just going to do this. And I'm not even thinking about it in any other way, but I'm just going to create a community for people like me. That's it. Whether you're male, women, whoever you are, I'm just building a community. So it didn't seem as a big lift, and it didn't seem as big as, looking back at it as it is, because I'm creating a Twitter. I'm tweeting about our mission. I'm finding like minded people that I'm being friends with, because in Web3, you do need to make friends. So I'm also making friends throughout the process. And I'm kind of learning new things. Twitter Spaces comes out. I was not a big person on podcasts
Hmm.
or any type of space like that. I get invited, then I'm hosting some, and it honestly, like throughout the whole journey, it was just so natural flowing. And even when I talked to my employer about it, because obviously, if you do have a full-time job, definitely disclose all these things. Make sure you're not using any proprietary like laptops from your company. You always have to be very careful about those things. And as an engineer, we have more clauses than other people, right? Like we
Yeah.
have to disclose if we're coding anything outside of work. So there's a whole operational part. But I told my employer, I was like, hey, I'm excited. I'm going to build out an educational platform, because that was kind of my idea with Crypto Tech Women. And, he was super supportive as well. He's like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. You should definitely do that. So I think throughout the whole part, it was never like another job or a big thing that happened until Mint Day. And then, by that time, I already knew this is a business. Post Mint is when the work starts. And I had that concept, but I definitely came into that realization as soon as Mint happened. I'm like, okay, I can't even have two jobs anymore. This is a lot of work. But I think it's just that if you're having fun throughout the process, you kind of forget about everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, having fun, doing stuff that you like. Is that also one of the tips that you would give to, people or entrepreneurs listening to you and say, I want also to start my own NFT collection, my NFT project? Is this of course the basis? Have fun, have passion for it.
Yeah, you need to have passion for it, because to be honest, if you don't have passion, it's hard. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people here know it's hard building a company. It's hard selling a vision that you're not passionate about. It's hard selling products that you don't like yourself. So
Yeah.
unless you're going to hire someone that is going to have that passion and that can communicate that, I suggest you, as the person starting it or the person selling it, you need to like live that passion. That passion needs to be you in a way.
Right. Right, you have the passion. Of course, some people are in it just, in Web3 or in crypto just to they hope to be rich fast. So that's not really passion for me. But passion for me also is having a mission and, really are looking want to do everything for that mission. Can you repeat again what is the mission for crypto tech women, and in what way that your community is, yeah, building towards that mission?
Yeah, definitely. So, and I will say, I think our mission kind of shifted in the beginning, where we had one mission, and it's okay to pivot a little bit. But our mission is to create an inclusive space for everyone in Web3, where we want to support builders and learners equally. So, if you're a learner, we have an educational platform that's part of our ecosystem in Crypto Tech Women, and we want to upskill you and bring you up to speed on all things Web3, whether it is engineering, Web3 marketing, community management. We want to provide that high quality education for you to be able to make the jump, or at least an informed decision, keep up with your skills. And then for the builders, we are also creating lots of projects and programs for you to come on, and either if you're looking for advisory, if you want to create courses with us, we just want to find ways to support equally learners and builders while creating an inclusive space that celebrates diversity.
Right. Yeah, so I hear that the culture, the inclusive culture is really important for you. Now, how do you ensure that this culture is nurtured within the community?
Yeah, I think it all starts with one. It all starts with ourselves. It starts with how we speak. It's your CML story. So as you know, in marketing,
Yeah,
do you say hey guys? Do you say hey everyone? It starts with just tiny little things like that. But it also starts with you being very vocal about what you tolerate within a community, right? It's okay to want to have, and this is not me, I'm not okay with wanting to have everyone. I'm okay with wanting to have my target audience, but I think if someone out there wants to have everyone and celebrates everyone,
yeah,
that's great. But you do need to have a structure and a code of conduct to make sure that no one comes into your community and kind of like mistreat or make others want to leave. So it's important to have rules in terms of how what you tolerate within your community to happen as well.
yeah. You have also you grown your community really fast, because I know that your collection sold out really fast. Are there any secrets for that, or did you just target the right audience, or was the timing really good? What can we learn from that?
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you a secret. It was not really fast. So,
Oh,
and this is what this is an advice I give to everyone. So we did sold out in less than 24 hours from our public sale, which that's where you're like, oh, it was very fast. It's an 8,888 collection, and it was during the war of Russia in Ukraine. So it was not the best moment in crypto
mm,
as well. And it was the first day of our mint. It just had to happen that way. But um, the community building aspect was not fast. So I started building my community in August. And imagine, August, we minted at the end of February. And
mhm.
I will tell you, by October, November, I had community members begging us to just publish our mint. And I kind of was just building that whole, I don't know, like I just really wanted to make sure that I felt that the community was ready. I have built a great community. They were supportive of the mission. They understood what they were supporting. I wanted to make sure I also had like my ducks in a row in terms of what happens after Mint. Do I have the structure to support what's going to happen? Do I have enough people to support our Mint process? So um, I think that's one of the best things that you can do is build slowly and things will happen better, because I do see lots of brands coming in, building community for 1 or 2 months. You want to sell out a 10,000 collection, but you only have 2,000 followers, or you have 20,000 followers, but they're fake. So
Hmm.
you need to be very realistic of the numbers that you have and the number that you achieve on selling something, and also be okay with not selling out instantly. It's okay to have a slow mint. I do think it's ironic for me to say it, because obviously you're like, well, you sold out instantly, but
Yeah.
I do agree, like, hey, even a slow mint is better than having a fast mint, of people that are just buying based on speculative thoughts, not because of your mission and what you're doing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I imagine also making a good plan and then stick to it and do it for the right reasons. Uh, Also, something, when you hear speakers in Web3, there are a lot of men in there. How do you feel like a woman in this Web3 space? Is it hard? Do you feel that it's harder for you, or is it just an advantage because there are more men than women in the space?
I have to be very honest. I have such a different personality that I think, like, for me, with my entire background, like, I've worked in management, managing people 30 years older than me. I've done all of this from sort of young age. And, obviously, being a software engineer, I was the first woman engineer at my previous company. So I was the first woman hired, was also the first founding front end engineer. But I think I've had to go through this experience of having to stick up to myself. I also grew up with two brothers, um,
Oh, yeah.
only girl in my family. So I feel like life made me to be able to support like this type of thing and have my own voice and demand to be heard, not silenced. So I think that for me, while it's not, roses and butterflies, it's way better than other people that may not have those skills of raising your hand and feeling invited in places where you're probably not invited, but you want to be there anyway. So I would say personally no, but I do see how a lot of other women, and non-binary can kind of relate to that, of feeling like it's too much of a bro culture, even though we've done a really good job, not only crypto tech women, but other communities, in fostering diversity and inclusivity. So I do think it's way better than when I started.
Yeah, yeah, I felt that also. I was at the Web Summit in Lisbon and I was interviewing speakers for my podcast. And of course, I reached out to all the speakers in Web3. And, I reached out to both men, women, non-binary, but it were all women that said yes to me. I had like 9 women on my podcast from Web3, and it felt like also they wanna speak to the audience. So they are in Web3 and they want the world to know it. So I know there is also this movement of women in Web3 or World of Women. So that's also really amazing that you are doing that. Can you share something about the next phases of upcoming projects for
Yeah.
crypto women?
Yeah, definitely. So one that I want anyone out there to look at, it's called Path to Web3.xyz, and I'm sure Jory will put it on the show notes.
Of course.
And that is a free 30-day newsletter aimed to onboard anyone into Web3. So in 30 days, we're going to take you from zero knowledge about Web3 and NFTs to, at the end, you even get to claim your own free NFT, which is a proof of knowledge. It's basically a certification that proves that you went through this 30-day newsletter, free for anyone. And then if you're thinking, I already have a wallet, you
Hmm.
will learn so much. We go through different types of contracts, how to create your own NFT, and we kind of go into the fundamentals, which are definitely needed for your next step in Web3. So that's one. And obviously, I do want to give a huge shout out to W3 Learn Academy. We have a lot of courses coming out. Tomorrow, we actually have one with Unstoppable Domains on how to build a decentralized website with no code. So, definitely something good for anyone and everyone to come in and learn how to do this. You can claim a free Unstoppable domain as well. So, you start to build your digital identity. And then with W3 Learn Academy, that's kind of our play for this year. We're just expanding our content, creating more content. You're going to start learning to earn, which just means you're going to get free NFTs that prove your completion of the courses. And then there might be some giveaways tied in there as well. And then for Crypto Tech Women as a whole, we're also just very excited to start planting more flags on Web3 events. Last year we did Miami Art Basel, which was amazing, NFT NYC, NFT LA, ETH Denver. We did a lot. And this year we're on the same path of creating really cool experiences for our members where you can come in, network, and have a little bit of fun while you meet other Web3 thought leaders.
Yeah, of course, everything that you said, I'll put it in the show notes. By the way, Sandy Carter from Unstoppable Domains, that was the other presentation from San Diego that really inspired me that I took action on, directly. I needed to have my digital identity, and I love that you guys are working together on that. You mentioned, of course, all this education. In what way do you think it's important at this moment to educate people in Web3? What is the importance of it today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the most important. I think even before you have a wallet, who cares if you have a wallet if you don't know how to use it or why to use it, right? So I think that was my biggest takeaway when I joined Web3 and went into crypto Twitter. And this was before I even had the name of Crypto Tech Women. Was okay. I've met so many people and I keep asking fundamental questions about what is a smart contract? How are NFTs created? Can you undo blockchain transactions? And there was a lot of misinformation from even people that have been in Web3 for a year, 2 years, 3 years, right? Because it's not as new as people think. So it goes back. But I do think that's the strongest pillar that we can have. We see so many big brands coming into Web3 right now, dropping projects, Walmart building their own metaverse. But what is the point if the people that access it are just confused because they don't understand? So I think education is the number one thing we need to tackle. And I think big brands, if they want to reach out to Crypto Tech Women, we're happy to do the onboarding for you, for your clients and your users. Because without that part, people will use whatever you give them that they can understand, and they will leave and never come back. Right.
Right.
And that's the part we don't want. We don't want people to come in, don't understand the technology and obviously the lingo that we use, which is also not as accessible yet. And then they leave. And maybe they'll come back in 2 years, 3 years with mainstream adoption, but we want to make sure that that's not happening because one negative review continues to grow versus the positive ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you talked about the lingo and that now because we need to be careful which terms that we are using, but on the other side, it's also important to understand it that people know what you're talking about. Then you say 2, 3 years. Do you think that is the time that is now needed to for Web3? But Web3 it's a big term, of course. But do you think within 2, 3 years we will be a lot further into more mass adoption for NFTs and so on, you think?
I would hope. So last year, even though it may seem like a catastrophic year for so many reasons, actually a lot of big brands came into Web3. We saw Gucci, Bose, Louis Vuitton, like so many brands came into Web3. But there wasn't a lot of noise because there's the bear market also happening, right? So the bear market news kind of trump all the bigger brands coming in. This year, I think 2021 was, hey, some people are starting to get in here. There's big players making moves. We saw Bird Apes, Cool Cats, etc., like World of Women. And people were building that and starting to go into events. And then last year, it went great. Then we had a bear market. And people that are still here, we see all these big brands coming in. But, if you got burned, you over invested, you might not be so happy right now, like being in
Yeah.
Web3. 2023, I do think this is the year where we're seeing, okay, we do have to change the lingo. We saw Reddit on board millions of users by calling them digital collectibles and avatars versus NFTs, right? And even right now, we're talking about Web3. At some point, we're not going to be talking about the technology in that way. So I do think 2023, I'm hoping it's the year that we start simplifying our user interfaces on our websites and the lingo, and making it just so easy to download a crypto wallet, and even the language that is used, instead of being like secret phrase, or you recoveries, it's like master password and things that everyone can understand. So 2023, and then I think, like, yeah, 2 more years is what I think it usually takes for other people to catch up. And it's also a hard problem to solve. It's not like Web3 is the easiest thing to market and
No.
explain. So I would hope in less, but I do think in my mind, I'm like, yeah, in the next 2 years, I can definitely expect to see more normalization of how we speak about it, and the products that we use to be, just normal products that you don't need to know the difference if it's Web 2 or Web 3. It's just
Right.
a product.
Right. Yeah. Exciting times ahead, I would say. If people want to connect with you, Gigi, what would be the best place to find you?
Yeah, definitely. You can find me at cryptotechwomen. If you go to our cryptotechwomen Twitter page, you will see mine tagged in there. We have a lot of cool community events coming up. I love leading those, so you can also find me on our office hours, happy hour, onboarding. But if you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at Gianina Skarlett, or on Instagram on Gigi Skarlett.
Okay, awesome. Of course, I'll put the links in the show notes. Thank you, Gigi. It was really fun to have you on my podcast.
Thank you, Jerry. It's always amazing to be here.
So, guys, if you are now listening to this podcast and you think, oh, this was really interesting conversation, there are lots of people around me that can benefit from it. Be sure to share it with them. Be sure to share the link to this podcast episode. If you aren't subscribed yet to the CMO Stories podcast, please hit the subscribe button. And of course, I would like to see you back for the next podcast episode. Bye.